page 9. Page 9, in your paper pack, you will find these 2 sheets. Let's double them up and measure over 7 1/4 inches and cut. Also on the back side, it is white. Let's put these in reserves. Double these back up, measure over 7 1/4 inches and cut. Stick one off to the side for page 10. We'll work with this. Grab 2 sheets of black cardstock, double them up, measure over 7 1/4 inches and cut. We're going to do both of these exactly the same. The first score line is at a 1/2 inch. The next one is at 5/8. Now I need to move mine just a little to get me to line up. About there. Okay. So we're going to flip this over. We're going to score at 5 3/4. And we're going to score at 5 7/8. Let's grab our next one. 1/2 inch and 5/8. Mine over a bit here. Flip it over. 5 3/4 and 5 7/8. Let's fold. And we're going to fold the other one exactly the same. Okay, so on both of these we're going to do the exact same thing. With this folded down, we want to place our washi tape across the bottom so that we can die cut or do our Martha Stewart punches. And we're going to do the same thing with this one. Now I used this washi tape on the page before and it is really bright for me, and I'm going to go with the rose gold for this one. The die plate that I'm going to use is this one, and I'm going to find the matching top for it to cut. So place it, let's go ahead and place our washi tape across here and here, and we're gonna die cut like we've been doing. Okay, this is what you should have, 2 of these. Now if you were using this particular die plate, I did end up die cutting on black cardstock as well to stiffen this up a little bit. And what I did was I just glued it back behind, just to give it a little bit more. If you use this die, you will have got a couple of these scraps from the cuttings, and you want to know what? These are really pretty, and I'm going to use these. If you did not, it isn't going to make a big deal. We're going to attach these in a moment, but for now what we're going to do is clip out a half circle out of the side, because we do have a side pocket for this. If you have a large circular punch like this, what you can do is just come right on in and snip out. For those of you that don't have it, I'm going to show you an easy way to get a nice curve. Grab your score tape, your double-sided tape. All you have to do is place it along the side and draw. Now grab your other sheet for the next page because we're going to do this on both of them. And now, so that you keep them the same. So now all we need to do is double them up, make sure they're even, and we're going to cut this out. And I'll show you what mine looks like. Also, a quick tip, when you have these doubled up, grab a couple of your binder clips so that they do not slide on you, and just clip them before you start cutting. And that way it will help keep these together. I've got mine cut. Now I'm going to unclip these. I got one here and one here. I'm going to put this one back for the next page when I get to that. We are going to create a pocket for under here. So let's grab some cardstock. Cut 2 pieces of cardstock that is 7 1/4 inches by 6 inches. Put this one off with your other page. This one is going to end up going right back behind, but we do need to find our paper first for that. So looking at your paper, we are 7 1/4 inches tall. So let's do over here. In your reserves, you will find this really pretty print. It's the yellow with the white polka dots and the flowers there. On the back, it's pink with white polka dots. The first thing we're going to do is measure over 7 1/4 inches and cut. This will go in our reserves. Place your pieces together like this and line up. So all you're seeing is the black exposed part. Now take your piece that we just cut. This should be 7 1/4 inches tall. Place your hand down. Now wherever it is, right here, place your page up next to it. We don't want to cut right where it ends. So give yourself about 1 inch more. Now let's cut, and then what we're going to do is use that as a template and just match it up and cut again. And I'll show you mine. Put the rest in reserves. This is what I have. If we were to slip that right underneath, now we got a nice fit, and when you look in, it isn't going to show the black right off the bat. So it's deep enough in to where you're not going to see any of the black back part of the pocket. Okay, place one of these with your other pieces because that should fit if you doubled yours up. Let's grab our Toffee Crunch and ink around the edges here. I went ahead and inked. Let's place this down for a moment to take a look. And if you inked well enough, you will be able to see the line. Let's go ahead and glue this down. I got mine down. Now I'm going to grab my score tape. And all I'm going to do is place it across the bottom, up this way, and across up here. I'm going to remove my score tape. And now I'm going to be very careful. I'm first going to line up here so that I don't get crooked. And then I'm going to try and get down here. There we go. And I might have gotten a little bit off. That's okay. If you got a little bit off on lining it up, don't worry, just trim off any excess. Okay, make sure your pocket is down. And you should be able to put your hands in just like that. We're going to go ahead and attach these so that nobody gets confused on what we're doing. The first thing I'm going to do is attach the bottom. And that is very easy to do. I'm just going to line that right on up, pinch it, and tack this down. I'm going to do the same thing with the top, lining it up, pinching it, and tacking that down. So this is what you should have. Right now, let's go ahead and just tuck this all back behind to get it out of our way so we can work on this one. In your paper pack, you will find this sheet, and it's the one with the glitter on some of the butterflies. On the back, it is white. Measure over 7 1/8 and cut. This piece we're going to set off into our reserves. Now what you're going to do is right here, you're going to place it up because we may be using a punch or you didn't use this die. And all we're going to do is measure to fit. And you will have a little black on each side showing. Make a pencil mark and cut. Let's go ahead, apply glue, and glue that down. Let's flip that down. In your reserves, you will find this sheet. On the back, it's blank. Measure over 7 1/8 and cut. The smaller piece goes in our reserves. And I am going to move this back up. We're going to glue that right on down. In your reserves, you will have this. We're going to measure over 7 1/8, which is just a hair under from what it is now, and trim. I'm going to turn mine to the side. I'm going to watch for that score line, make sure I'm not on there. And we are going to measure to fit. So I'm going to bring mine down so I can see where the bottom of this trim is supposed to be. Let's see here. Right about here. And I'm going to trim. Don't glue that down yet. Grab a piece of cardstock and cut it to about 5 inches by 2.5 inches. We're going to give ourselves a little bit of room here. Grab one of your cutouts from when we cut into the side of the paper, and all I want you to do is lay it down. Take your pencil, we're going to use it as a pattern, and just trace. Now what I want you to do is just cut along that. After you've cut that, lay this down to where you can still see some of the black, and this is where we're just going to use some washi tape. And you don't need much, so all I'm going to do is lay some across here, and I'm going to fold this all back behind. And you can just work it so it does this. Okay, now place your piece over it. Like so. Let's grab our toffee crunch and ink around the edges. We're going to apply glue. And we're going to center that as best we can there. Grab your scoreboard, and all we're going to do is just place it right on up here and help us a little bit. I'm going to line up the edge of my pattern paper with one of my notches on both sides to help me. And now I'm just going to fold. Bring it up like this. Don't worry if you're a little uneven up here. It's not going to be the end of the world. I'm just going to place it right like this. First thing I'm going to do is tack this down. Okay, so you'll have this little flappy here. Now I'm going to put some glue in the corner, just at the bottom. And this is going to make a little slip pocket so that you can slide something in there. Now let's apply glue to the back of this and glue this down. This is what you should have. We'll add our little embellishments there in a bit. Okay, now what we're going to do is just fold that right on up. In your reserves, you will have a long piece like this. Measure over 7 1/8 of an inch and cut. Grab your other cutout piece. You'll need a piece of black cardstock that is 2.5 inches by 5 inches to give us a little room. And we're going to do the same thing we did before. Let's cut that out. Let's lay our washi tape, and I am going to use this one. And we're just going to wrap the edges around the back like we did before. Ink your edges. Apply glue. And mount this. Get your scoreboard out, score right underneath that, and fold it. Let's attach. Dab a little glue down in here so it will hold. And you know, if you're having a hard time with it not holding, that's a good time to use our binder clips right at the edges and just let it sit for a moment. After you have that, now what we can do is glue this right on down. So let's do that. Make sure you press that all down good. Okay, let's bring out this one. And now what we can do is just pull this one back behind, which will make it easier for us to work with this one. In your reserves, you will have another one of these long strips, white on the back, measure over 7 1/8 of an inch, and cut. The small piece goes in your reserves. So now all we're going to do is just line this up to see how far we need to trim. And mark it, trim it. Let's glue that down. Let's fold that up. In your reserves, you should have a long piece like this. Measure over 7 1/8 of an inch and cut. Cut a piece of cardstock that is 2.5 inches by 8.5 inches. Check your reserves to see if you have something in there you can use. I'm going to use this washi tape. And I am just going to lay it across for everything I need here. So I'm going to need probably, it's safe to say, 3 rows of this going across. Now let's punch across this way. Let's apply our score tape to the bottom of this. And let's mount our pocket. And tack our flap around the back. In your reserves, you will find this. This is 7 1/8 inch, I believe, going across, and it is. We're just going to pull that, put that so it fits across the page, and we're going to mark this to fit. And now let's trim. Apply glue to the back and mount this. Apply glue now to the back of everything and glue this down. In your reserves, you will find this sheet on the back. It looks like this. Measure over 7 1/8 of an inch and cut. We're going to do the same thing, putting this up where we need to be, making a mark, and trimming. Before you apply glue and glue this down, make sure that you are going to clear that score line. Now let's glue. I've got mine down. So let's flip this. In your reserves, you will find this piece that we just had. It should be 7 1/8 inch across. So we're just going to place that there, make a mark with our pencil, and cut. Make sure yours fit before going any further. In your reserves, see if you can't locate a piece of cardstock, and you can cut anything down that you need, but we want it 1 3/4 of an inch width and one that is long enough to have flaps to go around the back of this. We're going to make a little side pocket here. We're going to use our 1/2 inch Martha Stewart punch, and I'm going to use this washi tape. So I'm going to lay it down. I'm going to probably do 2 rows here. And now let's punch along the long side. Apply score tape to the side of this. And let's mount that side pocket we got, and tack our flaps around the back. In your reserves, locate a thin strip of the plaid, and we are going to cut this to fit. Using our pencil, now let's trim. Apply glue and tack that down. We're ready to glue this down to our inside. So let's do that. Okay. Let's get this all back in order. That looks really pretty. Okay, if you had these leftover cuttings from die cutting this, it's the piece that comes out of there, glue those down right in the corner. If you don't, it doesn't matter. It still looks good. Let's flip this down. You're going to want to prepare 4 leaves and 2 of the flowers, and we're going to do single layer flowers on these, and you'll want your prills. I have mine stamped with the elderberry, and I'm going to go ahead and ink these and get my prills in shape. And I am going to use my blender pen, my Wink of Stella, and my glossy accents. So it's going to take a moment for all this to dry. I took a quick break and while this was drying, and I forgot where I was. So looking at ours like this, let's flip it down. It doesn't matter. They're both going to be the same. We're going to glue these 2 together right on down there. That flower came out so pretty. And then the flower gets placed right there. Alrighty. Flip that on up, and you definitely want to make sure you are completely dry before you do this. So this one you're going to have to move up just a little so it does not get caught. And I'm using my wet glue here, so in case I need to maneuver these just a little bit, I can. And now I'll just add a little. And you know what? This looks good to me. This looks really nice, actually. There's just enough stuff. We are done. Let's flip this over score tape around like we've been doing, and we're going to place this in the book together because this is thicker. Grab your book. Now when you place this, I recommend that you start from the outside and then lay it this way because we are thicker. So what I'm going to do, and I'm going to lean over and hopefully my head won't get in there, is I'm just going to place this to where I can just see a little bit of black on this side. And then I'm going to push it down. Once it's down, I still have my score tape on, by the way. Once it's down, you will want to open up your book and push it all down really good so that it sticks. I just placed mine. I'm going to open this up. Now I'm going to smooth it down really good. All right. Now, since it's thicker over here, when we flip the page, you still should be able to have to where your page isn't sticking up like this. Plenty of room. Page 10 is very easy. Take your piece here, glue it down. You're going to want to ink around your edges with Toffee Crunch. Now let's lay our score tape. And remember, no score tape on this, just around the edges like that. Now because our other page, page 9, is super thick, we're not going to do a whole lot to this one. It doesn't really even need it. Now I'm going to turn this. Looks like mine did pretty good. Make sure you get all the score tape down there. Okay, flip it over, score tape around the outside, one down the middle, 2 short ones, and mount this in your book. And remember, your pocket is off to the right side when we're mounting this. Page 11 and 12. Page 11 and 12 are done together. This is the blue with the stripes. On the back side, it's like a solid blue. Double up your pages. Grab both of them out of your paper pack. Measure over 7 1/4 inches and cut. The smaller pieces go in our reserves. Double these up. Measure over 7 1/4 inches and cut. Grab a piece of cardstock and we are going to cut this directly in the middle. Measure over 5 1/2 inches and cut. In the ornate borders and pockets, I'm going to use this one, so I'm just going to place this down so that I know where I need to lay my washi tape. So let's get that ready to go. I've got the washi tape down on both of mine. Okay, it's time to center this and run that through the die cutter. And we'll do it on both. The gold diagonal foil is really pretty. I don't know if you could see that or not. I think it's gorgeous. Okay, let's go ahead and lay these down. Remember, your stripes are up and down on the main page here. And we're going to mount both of these since we're doing them both at the same time. And we're going to mount both the pockets. In your paper pack, you will find this sheet. On the back, it looks like this. First thing we're going to do is just measure over 7 1/4 inches and cut. The small piece goes in reserves. Now on both of these, all we're going to do is bring our paper up to as far as we'd like it to be. And we'll just make a mark and we will cut. And we'll do the same thing for this side. Go ahead and cut a piece of the 1 3/4 inch to trim to fit on each side, and glue that down. Cut a piece of bling to fit across both of these and glue it down. Now you're going to prepare 2 identical flowers, so you're going to need 4 leaves. And I have to still put my Winkastella and Glossy on these other 2. This flower, this is a very pretty flower, and how you're going to get this if you want the same exact results is I am using the Sweet Plum stamp. I'm going to use one of the large, one of the next size, one of the next size, and 2 of the smallest ones. Now, how I got the color deviation is the large one, you're going to ink with just Lulu Lavender. The rest of these, you are going to go around the edges with Sweet Plum, really dark. And then what you're going to do is lightly brush a little what's left on the dauber, and then you're going to do your Lulu Lavender over that. And then of course the blender pen is used, the Winkastella, and the glossy accents. And inside are the prills. And I'm going to bring this flower up so you can see a little better. I'm not sure if the color is coming out or not on this video, but it's a very pretty flower. So let's do that. Let's go ahead and glue this down. Once yours is completely dry, we're going to flip this over, put score tape on the back, and mount this in our book. Page 13. We are on page 13 in your paper pack. You should have 2 of these. This is one of the pages with glitter on it. On the back, it's white. Double them up, measure over 7 1/4 inches, and cut. These 2 go in reserve. Let's double these up, measure over 7 1/4 inches, and cut. Place one off to the side for our page 14, our final page. We're going to work with this. Cut a piece of cardstock that is 6 inches by 7 1/4 inches. You will place this on your scoreboard. You are 6 inches across. Your first score line is at the 1/2 inch. And your second score line is going to be at 11/16. Let's go ahead and fold on our scores. Let's tuck the flap back behind. We'll work with this. In your paper pack, you will find this print. On the back, it's white. Measure over 5 1/8 of an inch and cut. The large piece goes in reserves. Measure over 7 1/8 of an inch and cut. Before we go any farther, tuck your flap back behind if you haven't already done that. Place your piece up and make sure that it is fitting, and you should have a black frame around it. Check your reserves before you cut a piece. We need a piece of cardstock that is 7 1/4 inches by 4 1/2 inches. And once you have that, let's grab our washi tape. We will be using the Martha Stewart punches. And I'm going to use the deep edge punch. This one is the trellis chain. And I'm using the rose gold. The one that I had on the previous page was the regular gold, and that's a little bright for me, I think. So I am going to use the rose gold, and that's more toned down. So let's place our washi tape on our paper. And I think I'm going to go about 3 rows of this. So let's get that ready. let's go ahead and punch across. Let's mount our pocket. And we'll wrap our flaps and tack it down. In your reserves, check for this piece. It's the yellow, on the back is pink with white polka dots. And what we're first going to do is measure over enough to where we can get a good fit. We're just going to use our pencil on this. It's just as quick. So I'm going to cut here, and then I'm going to mark with my pencil right down here, and it's going to leave me a little bit of a gold band at the bottom of that trim. So let's do that. Once you have your piece, apply glue and mount that on your pocket. Flaps again are off to the left, tuck them all back behind, and let's glue down our pocket. Let's flip that open. In your reserves, you will have this, and it's the same paper as this, and it's one of the cuttings. If you lay this down, you will notice that we aren't quite long enough here, and that's okay. The first thing we're going to do is trim this a bit, so measure over 7 1/8 and trim. Find a scrap piece of cardstock, and I cut mine down to 7 1/8 to match this for top and bottom. And we're going to do what we've done before. And I think I'll just lay this right on the cardstock. And I'm going to place this. Okay, measure over 5 1/8 and cut. Check to make sure you're going to fit. I'm going to fit, so let's get our side pocket ready. Cut a piece of cardstock that is 2.5 inches by 9 inches. We're going to use the Martha Stewart deep edge punch, and I'm going to lay 3 rows of washi tape. So let's do that. Now let's go ahead and punch across. Let's lay our score tape. And we're going to mount this side pocket. And we will go ahead and glue down those flaps. In your reserves, you should have a long piece like this. This one is 4.5 inches wide by 12 inches. I'm just going to lay this right on down here and measure to fit. And I'm going to cut that, and then I'm going to measure up and cut it so it will fit. Once you have your piece, lay it down before you glue it down. If it looks good, apply glue and mount it. Now apply glue to the back of this and mount it. Let's attach to our page. We're not going to have any pockets. I left this open so that we can place a large picture if we'd like. Get it positioned, flip it over, and tack your flap down. Cut a piece of cardstock that is 6 inch by 6 inch, and we're going to score at 7/8 and 1 1/8. Let's go ahead and fold. Now this should slide right on over this one comfortably. In your paper pack, you will find this sheet. It is 4 3/4 inch wide by about 7 1/4 inches long. tuck your flaps underneath and place this down. It should be a perfect fit in there. And all we're going to do is mark it with our pencil where we need to cut and trim this down to fit. Once you've double checked yourself, made sure it's going to fit, apply glue and mount this. Now I'm going to be using the 1/2 inch combo set, the punch around the edges, and what we're going to do is cut a piece of cardstock that is 4 5/8 of an inch by 6 3/8, and we are going to put our gold washi tape around here, and I'm only going to lay one row around the edges there. And when we're done, it will come out looking like this, but with the gold edges. So let's do this, and you'll want to be careful. If you'd like to lay 2, you can. I'm just going to be real careful here and line mine up so that it is straight. So let's do that. After punching around, this is what you will have. Let's find our piece for inside. In your reserves, you should find this sheet. It's the one with, you can feel the texture, like the glitter on it. On the back it's white. Now on this frame, we are going to leave black frame around this. So I'm going to set mine down here where I'm showing even black spacing over here and here. And I'm going to make a mark so I can have that even spacing on this side. And I'm going to make a mark this way. So now I know what I need to trim off. So let's do that, and I'll show you what mine looks like. I've got mine cut, and I'm going to apply glue to the back, and I am going to center that now. And that is what it's going to look like. So let's do that. Okay, set this off to the side. We'll get to that in a moment. Let's flip this open. Flaps are now off to the right. In your reserves, you will find this sheet, and if you were to place it, it would be a perfect fit. So all we need to do is take our pencil, mark it, and trim it. We're going to apply glue, and we're just going to glue that right on down. Let's go ahead and attach this. We're just going to slide that right on over. We're going to center it there, pinch it, and tack that down. And there it is. Okay, grab this piece. This piece we're actually going to lay right like this, and it's going to serve to be a pocket that you can slide stuff back behind. So all I'm going to do is just lay some glue, and I'm going to go for it here. And I'm just going to place it. If I need to wipe up any residue, I will. You may want to stick a piece of cardstock back behind, just in case glue decides to seep out on you. Okay, let's see. Yep, and that will work. And there it is. Now, check over here. Wipe off any excess. And let's go ahead and do something over here. In your reserves, find a small piece, and I'm using this one. On the back it's pink. It's just a little square. Doesn't really matter exact measurements. All we're looking is for a little square. And we're going to mount this to black cardstock, and we're going to leave just a little bit of black around the frame of that. And I'm going to trim to cut this out. Okay, make a bow with some ribbon, and we are just going to place that right like this with the bow right like that. So let's glue that down. I've got mine down, and you should still be able to close your flap. Grab some of your 1/2 inch lace, and let's glue that down. Okay, we really don't need anything else for this. Let's go ahead, flip this on over, score tape around the back, and we're going to mount this in our book like we've been doing. Page 14. We're on our last page, page 14. Cut a piece of cardstock that is 5.5 inches by 8.5 inches. And we're going to use our Martha Stewart deep edge punch, the trellis chain, or whatever you have handy. Once you've cut that piece of cardstock, we're going to lay 3 rows of our rose gold, or whatever your washi tape that you prefer to use, across the top, and then we're going to punch it. So let's get that all ready to go. Let's go ahead and mount our pocket here. And we're going to wrap our edges around the back and tack them down. In your reserves, you will have this piece, and it should fit perfectly across your page. So all we're going to have to do is move it over just a little bit and mark where we need to trim it to fit. So let's do that. Once you have yours trimmed, double check to make sure you're going to fit, and let's glue that down. Again, I'm going to use my 1/2 inch Martha Stewart punch with the corner punch, and I'm going to lay the same washi tape I used on the page before, 1 strip around the outside, and then I'm going to punch. This size is a 3.5 inch by 5 inch. If you're using the timeless rectangles, go ahead and die cut. You'll want to measure up like we've done before. So this is what you should have, and we're going to do the same thing we did before. In your reserves, grab this print, and we're going to leave a little black border around. So get your pencil out, make a mark where you need to trim. So let's cut this way and then that way. Check your piece. If it fits, glue it down. Okay, all we're going to do now is make this into a pocket that goes right here. So we're just going to add down these 2 and the bottom. And mount that, making sure we press down good. This page is complete. Flip it over, score tape, and mount it in your book. And there is something I do want to add, but let's mount this first and then bring our book out. Okay, make a bow, and we're going to glue that down right there. I'm going to grab a piece of cardstock, kind of slip that back behind here if I can. In your foiled fancies, go ahead and clip this one out. Let's apply some glue. Sometimes it's just easier for me after I see both pages to dress them up better. In your reserves, grab out one of these, and I'm going to get the Martha Stewart Large Monarch Butterfly punch, and I'm going to punch this out. And I'm going to glue this right on top. grab one of your flat back pearls and just glue that right down in the center there. Using scraps, I used the small Martha Stewart butterfly punch, and I'm going to stick this right here. Whoops, I don't think you can see. Right here. I'm going to grab a scrap and I'm going to use the small Monarch butterfly punch. And I'm going to use some inking around this. And I'm just using Sweet Plum. I'm going to apply glue. And I'm going to stick that right there. Okay, your album is complete. Let's go ahead and get the latch on. Okay, so there's two ways you can do this. You can place, and this is the way I'm going to do it, you can place one here and then hook it on and then place your ribbon around the back, or you can place ribbon this way and have the hook in the side. And I am going to place like this. So we are going to need, you're going to need your binder clips or this and your glue. So this is the one you want, and I'm going to apply my glue. And I'm just going to place this right like that. And I'm just going to make sure I can still latch. Once you have it straight, you're just going to clamp that on down to let it dry. In the meantime, let's flip our album over and get ready for this. Okay. You'll want to use some thinner ribbon to get through this, and I usually like to start by just snipping it, and you're going to feed it through this small hole and pull it through. If your ribbon is too wide, it's not going to go through, so grab your reading glasses, whatever you need to get it through there. There. We need to wait about 5 minutes, 5 to 10 minutes for this to completely dry. But all we're going to do is then hook it on there and pull this back around to the back and glue it down. Mine's not completely dry, but I'm going to speed up the process here. When yours is completely dry, and check it about 10 minutes. I'm going to hold mine here. All you're going to do is hook it, turn it, you'll pull your ribbon, and you're not going to want to do it real tight because we still have picture mats to get in there. You're just going to do it to what looks natural there and leave yourself some room to move. And once you know where that's supposed to be, now you can add some hot glue or whatever type of glue that you'd like to use. Just put it down to hold that. I'm just going to cut mine off. I'm going to grab one of my flat back pearls now, and I'm going to glue that down. this album is complete. I will not be doing the picture mats with you. Picture mats are all according to taste and sizes of photos that you'd like. I do usually mat my decorated paper over black cardstock and make a little black frame around it, as you've seen in the overview. Thank you very much for viewing this tutorial or taking it with me. I hope you had fun, and we'll see you next time.